Hello, hello, hello. I have another kit here. These are the kits. They are in a plastic bag, so there's a bit of a glare. I apologize for that, but we'll go through the kits in a minute. These are my wooden stick dangles. I don't know what else to call them. If somebody's got a great idea, I'd love to hear it. I have the baby popsicle sticks on the back. This one's been made into a paper clip. This one can dangle on a piece of fabric or, wherever you want to pin this to. It's got a pin at the top and a pin at the bottom for a dangle. And this one has its dangle at the bottom. So let me show you what's all in a kit. So you have, every kit has, this is one of the few consistents, a piece of old dictionary paper, and that's to cover the sticks. This one is for the paper clip, and this one is for the two little bulb pins. But you can do them however you want. If you want to make them both with paper clips, you're welcome to do that. So we have those. And then we have a couple of different fabrics or lace, and then an assortment of papers to make our little clusters. We have a piece of string to thread to put through our buttons so that they can look like they're sewn on. And then we have a little piece of wire, because on this one I wired the buttons on and added some wire on the back, and I just like the look of the wire because it's different. You have an assortment of buttons. You have 3 bulb pins, a couple little dangles, a little charm, and well, it's supposed to have the back on this, but it's not there. So I will have to find out. These are little polymer clay dangles. They have a silver metal backing. Easily pop out of that backing, as you can see, and you could just put it right there in the middle of your dangle or your design, your cluster. There we go. And most of them will have these little silk roses. So that's what's in a kit. Every kit is different. There is the sticks, the thread, the wire, the buttons. It's the same idea, but the papers and fabrics and buttons are going to be a little bit different. Also has the paper clip to do. And some may have more buttons and some may have less. After a while, you just put in there what you think you need for the project. And some things I've color coordinated and some things just happened. So they're quite a exciting mix, I think. And you can see with this one's got the roses. It's got an anchor. It's got red and orange and a coral and white and a feather. So they're all different. They're all great fun. So I have out a little bit of supplies, but I'm going to have to take the sticks out of here because I thought I grabbed them, but I didn't. And I have bukus more sticks. So we'll go ahead and take the sticks out of it. And what I do is I just glue it on here because I think that's how I want it. You want to, on this one, you want to make sure if you're going to use the top hole that you leave, don't cover your holes. That's, there's no right or wrong. It's just do what you want to do. But I don't want to cover my holes. So I know that I need to put my ruler about right there. And I'm just going to tear this. And I'm going to just cover this. Now, if you wanted to, you could easily just paint one of these. You could stamp on one of these. I have a bigger popsicle stick here that I stamped on and then just kind of rubbed some inks on it. So, you know, you can do that too. But I kind of like the paper. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. Okay. We aren't wanting to work tonight. I think it's the fingers. I don't think it's the, yeah, it's the glue too. I'll just grab a different glue. I'll use my Fabri-Tac kind of glue. So I'm just going to put some glue down. Not a whole lot, but a lot more than that. And I'm just going to put this on here and wrap it around. If you don't want to do the sides of it, that's fine too. But I'm looking for what makes it the easiest. And this seems to do that, even though I'm a bit of fumble fingers tonight. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tear this off so it will go back over the other side. And enough glue seeped out, I don't need to put any more. So that's basically it for this one. So now I'm going to take a little piece of fabric, and you know, you can use the components you have in any way you want. This is what I chose to do. I'm anxious to see how everybody else's turns out. So I am just going to wrap a little bit or put a little bit of glue on it. Wrap a little bit of fabric just so it kind of has that really old look, and snip that off. And a little more glue. And then you got to decide which is your top, bottom, front, back at some point. I think it's pretty cool the way it is. And I think this probably should be at the top. So I am going to take a little piece of lace, and this is more than enough. And I'm going to just put a little bit of glue right here. And I want it to be a little bit fluffy, so I'm going to kind of pinch it and then put it on there. And you can decide how much sticks over, how much doesn't stick over. You know, it's all good. It's all good. You could put another little piece of paper on there. There's plenty of paper in your kit. Let's add some color to this one. Here's some painty papers. I was bored one day, sit down, just painted circles all over the place, just lots and lots of circles. And we'll just put a little bit of color right there. Now, if you wanted to, before you put this on, you could have layered them all together and stapled them and then glued it on as one piece, which, if you have a good quick drying glue, would probably been the best way to do it. But we're just going to keep going with what we're doing. So I've got my bucket of buttons here, and let's pick out, let's do 3 buttons. There's got to be a good glue in here somewhere, not too big. Well, it's a little button. It's not quite the same blue, but it'll work. So I guess I am using this kit, aren't I? I'm going to take a piece of wire, and some of them have copper wire, some have bronze wire, and some have gold. And I'm going to start off with, I'm going to come up a little ways and then go back down in the button. And then I'm just going to lay it on here, right there. And then I'm going to pull it to the back and twist it so it stays. You could put a drop of glue under there if you wanted to. I'll tuck that in and cut it off in a little bit. And I am just going to, I'm going to tear that a little bit so that it doesn't smash the paper down. I want the paper color to show. And just kind of keep going until we're happy with it. Let's add another button. And I'm just going to come through, and I'm actually going to take my wire through a hole in the lace and bring it to the back so I can go around but not have the lace all smashed in. And now I'll put on the last button. Go back through another hole so it kind of looks like it's sewed on, but it's wired on. And I got it too far apart, so I slid it down a little bit and got my little button cluster there. And so you have your 3 little button clusters, and you know what? I really don't like this in there, so we're going to pull some of that out, and we're going to glue a little bit more of this down so it's not going wherever it pleases. And then I'm just going to wrap some wire to make this part of the design. And because it's not a wearable piece, you can easily just kind of tuck it in under something and not worry about the end coming undone. I don't know if you can really see that, but I have it tucked under that button. So there's our cute little cluster. And then we can take our bulb pins, and these little black pins are hard to see on a black mat. And we can put this one up here so that we can connect it to something. And this one will go at the bottom. And then we can put, this one has a feather and an anchor. And I'll go ahead and put both of those on this one. So there is a fun little dangly to put on a cover of a journal, and you can do more to it. You could easily add more. You could add a couple pearls, a couple beads, a couple more buttons. Say you wanted to, you know, change it up a little bit. Maybe it needs a little bit of something else right there. So we'll just go through my stash and see. It does have the flowers, so maybe it needs a little rose tucked in. It gives you a little bit more red and a little green. And maybe all it needs is a little inking. Maybe this popsicle stick isn't is too bright. So we're just going to ink it up a little bit, kind of dull it all out. Do the same thing on our lace even. So there, now it's kind of reminds me of a sunshiny day in July. The red, white, and blue. I'm kind of surprised I did red, white, and blue. It didn't intend to be that way, but it just happened. So that was the first one. And now I'll do the other one, and it's a little bit long, so I'm going to go ahead, and your papers that come in the kit will be a little bit long. I wanted to make sure you had plenty to use if you want to do layers. So this one is going to be a little bit different. Not a lot, just a little bit. I'm going to put this paper on and wrap it around, just like I had done on the other one. Yeah, way too much glue there. And I'm going to go ahead and bring it around, and I'm going to cut it off. You could tear it off. You could cut it off. It's all good. Okay, now I'm going to put the paper clip on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little piece of paper that's a little bit stronger. It doesn't have to be heavyweight, but a little bit stronger than the dictionary pages. And I don't need it nearly this big. So, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your paper clip, and I have out big ones and I need little ones. Isn't that the laws of nature? Me and videos lately, we just have a hard time getting along. I don't know what's up with that. So I'm going to put the paper clip on my piece of paper, and then I'm going to put some glue. Now you want to make sure your hole's at the bottom. I'm going to put some glue here. I'm putting on a little bit, probably more than what I need, but I wanted to make sure that it gets set in there and has a good surface. And I'm just going to let that set for a few minutes before I fold it over, because I want to make sure it's good and glued down. So now let's make it a little cluster. So I'm going to use, let's use this little piece of paper and maybe a little piece of painty paper and a dictionary page. And I think that might be good. This is a little stiffer. This is a dictionary page, but for some reason it's a wrist. No, it's a dictionary, but it's really nice and stiff. Now I definitely want this one to look a little more vintage, so I'm tearing it off all the edges, and I will ink this just to help with the aging. And then I'm also going to ink my stick and the paper underneath it. Just because I don't want it to look so bright. Go ahead and put a little bit of glue right here and here, and fold this over. That Fabri-Tac didn't take any time to hold up. And I am just going to hold this for a second and make sure it's, because it's a little stiffer, so I want to make sure it's folded over and glued down. So it's not pretty, but that's okay. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's not ever going to be seen. So I'm going to just make sure it's all inked up, and we'll go ahead and make us a little cluster. And you can have sharp corners. You can have all your pieces cut. You could get your punches out and make your cute little punch shapes. It's totally up to you. But I like to just take and make a little grouping somehow that pleases my eyes. And I need both hands. So I'm just going to staple it real quick. And then I'm going to pull this little piece and add kind of, just make it a little bit softer edges. And I'm going to put it there, bring it down just a little bit, staple it, and I'm wanting to use this rusty fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that over because it's way too long, but the bulk of that will be cool. I think I'm okay with this so far. And I want a little more of a light, yeah, just a little bit light sticking out right in here. Somewhere. That'll work. I'm going to flip that back and staple that. And now I'm going to take it and I'm going to glue it down to this. And it's longer than the hole, so I'm going to make sure it slides up just enough to clear the hole. And I think for this one, we're going to go with some earthy buttons. And for the sake of the length of the video, I say earthy, I should say white and vintage. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to use the thread to tie into it to make it look like it's stitched, but you can see that in this one. And then, you know, the wire shows up in the other one. So let's just kind of play around and see what we want in the way of buttons. And so I'm wrong. I'm going to use the thread. It just is too plain. So I'm going to thread from the top down to the bottom and back through a different hole. I try to go so they're angled across if it's a 4-hole, and if it's not, that's cool too. I mean, it's not a big issue. Just my personal preference. And I'm just going to tie 2 knots and cut them off. I don't want them real long, but I want them long enough that they can be seen. So we'll just put a little, boy, I'm making a mess with the glue here today. Put a little bit of glue here, kind of spread it out because I'm probably going to do a cluster of 3 buttons. Put that one right there. And I kind of like this big one. It's a shank button, so I'll put it right there. And let's see if there's something with a little bit of pink in here. If there's a little bit of the pink fabric or paper poking through. And you don't see much glue there. So there you go. And now you could have put one of the roses on. You can use, you know, the parts you want, or you can use the parts you don't want with something else. So it's totally up to you. And this one would get the other little black bulb pin that is disappearing on my table. And you can put a charm or a dangle. We'll just take this one off just so we can see it finished. I'm just going to slip that on there. And by the way, on my channel, I have a short little video of how I did the dangles. I've used wire instead of head pins or eye pins because it was quick and easy. So there we go. We have our cute little dangle, and you can just take that dangle and put it on your book, and you've got yourself a cool paper clip. And then that's what this one does. It goes on your book. My paper clip is glued down on this one a little bit. There we go. And then the other one can just, I'm just going to pin it to this because it's what's right here. But you could pretend there was a doily laying on there and it was pinned to that. Although it's kind of cool. Maybe you could just do a whole chain of them. So that's our little kit for our popsicle clusters, maybe? I don't know. I'll keep thinking of a name, but they are very fun, very easy, and they're different. You know, I just found so many ways to take clusters to a whole new level. So I hope you've enjoyed, and I will talk to you all later. Have a great day. Thanks.